The special meeting of the Monroe Township Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If only.
Okay, at this time, it is recommended that the Board of Education appoint Stephen Ryback as temporary board secretary for this meeting in accordance with NJSA 18A:16-1.1.
So moved.
Mr. Chiarella? And then Patty Lang. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, then at this
I
time.
abstain.
Oh, Michelle
You
Arminio.
have such a difficult time writing. Why are you doing that?
Okay.
Abstain. Okay, then at this time, Mr. Ryback, we'll have a roll call.
Ms. Arminio?
Here.
Mr. Braveman? Mr. Chiarella?
Here.
Ms. DeMayo?
Here.
Ms. Kalpanowicz?
Here.
Yeah. Ms. Lang?
Here.
Ms. Quarino? I'm here. Mr. Russo?
Here.
Mr. Rutsky? Madam President, you have a quorum.
Thank you.
I'll read the statement. In accordance with the provisions of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, the Monroe Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted May 26, 2018, at all schools, Home News Tribune, Asbury Park Press, and filed with the clerk of the municipality.
Thank you. And at this time, we will go to the public forum. Any,
Madam, before we go through that, please, may I?
Ms. Arminio?
Yes, once again, I don't see, and I mentioned this last special meeting, I don't see the appropriate number of public forums on this agenda. I believe from bylaw 0164, that is the only place where it talks about us having, three public forums. And especially the public forum after the resolution, because that public forum is exclusively after we come out of closed session and we act on a resolution. Usually there is a forum specifically for that. It was eliminated last month. I believe it's eliminated once again. So again, I just want to express my objection to not going according to our own bylaws.
Thank you, Ms. Arminio. And I will state that we also don't have a board president's report, committee reports, other board business, because this is a special meeting. We have one item on the agenda, which is a closed session. So if I had a public forum, a closed one for agenda items only, then I open it up. We might as well just have one agenda item for a public forum so that everybody could speak to whatever they wish.
Yes, but that is still against our bylaws. Our bylaws don't have anything that suggests that you can arbitrarily and capriciously change the rules to accommodate whatever position you have here. I can understand if we voted on it on a special election to only have two public forums, one before we proceed and one after the resolution, because most of the time, people don't remain here for the action after our closed session. So it's not anything that puts an imposition or a time situation on the board itself. So again, you are, in my opinion, going against our own rules and regulation arbitrarily.
We will note that in the minutes.
And I hope so.
Thank you. Okay, public forum, anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone and give your name and address for the record, and we will adhere to our 4-minute time limit.
Hi, Krishna Dekale, 11 Jake Place. I have a comment about the search for superintendent. I believe today's special meeting is about your plans for searching for a superintendent, right?
No, we have plans to search for an acting superintendent.
So you don't even have plans for an actual one? You're planning to find an acting superintendent?
Yes, that is what is on the agenda this evening.
Okay, and how long do you think the acting superintendent will be in place?
Will be in place. We haven't even discussed contract issue. We don't have a candidate yet. Once we have a candidate and that candidate's been identified and approved by the board, then we will go into contract negotiations.
Right. And here's the question that I have, or a statement I would like to make, is when you are deciding on the acting superintendent, we want a few of public forums to come in where the superintendent makes his pitch, and the acting superintendent makes his or her pitch to the public forum. And this has to be published well in advance so that people can understand where the acting superintendent would be on many of the issues that are facing our school district. I want that placed on the record, please.
I don't know that would be appropriate to do at this time, but we will take that under consideration.
Why wouldn't it be appropriate?
Because the position of an acting or an interim or a superintendent is up to the Board of Education.
Yes, but you cannot foist a superintendent on us.
I think the Board of Education can make that decision.
Okay, but we still want to have that on the record, at least on the record, that I want, and as many of my friends would want, we want the acting superintendent to make his or her pitch to the public forum, and we want this acting superintendent to take questions from the public. It cannot be that, you're setting that meeting up on Monday morning at 9 a.m. It has to be at a time that has maximum public participation.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, and I still haven't run out of my 4-minute time. So the second thing I wanted to bring out was the lack of progress on the referendum. What's the plan on the referendum? There's nothing being planned for this year.
As I said at, I believe it was last week's meeting, the steering committee has met. We have added a member of the MTEA onto the steering committee. We are looking for information. We are digesting the results of the survey that we passed out to the public. At this time, it is too late to get any referendum on an October or a November ballot. So we are looking to make sure that we get everything we need in order to place we could still have a little time for the December meeting, but it's looking more towards March, because if we change the referendum in any way, we need to go to the state, and the state will take approximately 6 months to review everything.
Okay, so the question then becomes, what happens to these growth rates that you have projected when you were presenting the referendum for middle school? What happens to the high school expansion? What happens to the elementary schools?
That is a discussion that the
Do we have a date for the discussion?
its discussion will be between the steering committee. It will be a recommendation from the administration to the Board of Education, and then there will be a discussion in public from the Board of Education.
When can we have the results of that? Do we have date for it?
We do not have a recommended referendum to bring to the public yet. When we do, we will put it on the agenda.
Can you at least have, going forward, for each of the public meetings, public forums, we want what the steering committee has discussed. We want that presentation to come out so that people are aware of what is being discussed and everything, so that we don't come in and say that only one school is coming in, or half a school is coming in. We want that placed on record, public forums, please.
We usually have updates from the steering committee during meetings. I believe I gave you one recently, and I don't think there's going to be another committee meeting until the summer.
Okay, summer would make it difficult for us to have anything through December. That would be March of next year.
Right now, unless we got something on the referendum, on the ballot in June, we will not have something before 2019.
Okay, 2019, and then we still have to pay for the operational expenses of having the trailers then.
Yes.
And because it is 2019 that you're going to have the referendum, your schools, even if it was a best case scenario, would be 4 years away.
Right. Is the time
It's
over?
time, yeah, I had
Okay.
it.
All right,
Mr.
thank you.
Ryback said the time is over.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Prezioso, 8 Equestrian Way. We're looking for an acting superintendent. We have a superintendent now that 700 people signed a document saying that they supported him, teachers like him. The public stands up here every board meeting and says how much they like him, and you want to get rid of him. You want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. It's going to cost you close to $80,000 just to put out the word for a new superintendent. Not only that, you're going to put us through a court case. And my personal opinion is I think you just want Dory Alvidge to be either interim superintendent or superintendent. That's the plan. I'm sorry for losing such a good man.
Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Chrissy Skirby, 21 Preakness Drive. I asked last week about the policy for the agenda. Policy number 0164 has the way the agenda is supposed to be written. When I brought it up last week, you told me you would send me the policy that you were referring to, Madam President, and I have not received it. So I did go through every single board policy and bylaw that's listed online, and the only one that talks about the way the agenda is written is that policy 0164 that Mrs. Arminio spoke of also. In that policy, it does not say that the first public forum is noted for agenda items only. It does say the public forum number 3 is for closed session, after closed session, which I agree with Ms. Arminio, that is blatant disregard for the public and for the bylaws, not having one tonight after the closed session. That is what you're supposed to be following. That is a bylaw. And I'd like to know why we're not following the bylaws of the board.
Because this is a special meeting. This is how we've conducted special meetings in the past.
In November 2017, there was a special board meeting of this board, and it had a closed session resolution, and that had a closed, a public forum after closed session. I went back and looked at all of the agendas. Every time there was a special meeting, with a closed session, there was a public forum following that.
That is incorrect.
No, it is not.
It is incorrect because myself and the board attorney went back and looked at many, many agendas going back many years, and there have been times that there has been, and there have been many times that there has not been a public forum after closed session.
Yeah, not recently, not recently.
Going back to this past fall, there has been.
No, there was always,
thank
there
you.
was always a public forum. And I'm also wondering why on the agenda we are talking about in closed session the superintendent's evaluation.
Because this is the time of year when we, as a board, are required to do a superintendent evaluation.
So you've terminated him, yet you're going to evaluate him? Wouldn't
Dr.
that be done
Kozak is here
beforehand?
until June 30th. We have an obligation to evaluate the superintendent.
So has an evaluation not been done prior to you giving him a letter saying that you are not renewing his
The evaluations are
contract?
usually done between April and the end of the school year, which is June 30th.
You can see where that doesn't make much sense. And I'd like to point out a Facebook post where you answered a question that I posed. As board president, you said, everything I do is with attorney advice. And then I asked you a subsequent question, and then the post disappeared. So what I had asked was, Kathy Kalpanowicz, did the board attorney advise you, in the absence of a quorum, when the board members walked out, that it would suffice for you to speak on behalf of the whole board without a vote to terminate the superintendent's contract? It appears to me the attorney is leading you into an ethics violation pursuant to New Jersey ethics regulations as follows. Quote, I will recognize the authority rests with the Board of Education, and I will make no personal promises nor take any private action that may compromise the board. I would like to know, did the attorney advise you on March 27th when the board members walked out to pen a letter yourself to Dr. Kozak to terminate his contract?
Mrs. Skirby, that is attorney-client privilege. And having to do with the contract of the superintendent, I cannot answer that comment.
You answered me on Facebook
I
and
did
said
not answer
everything
you.
you do is with attorney advice. Was that the
Exactly.
advice of the attorney that evening?
I cannot tell you, I will not give you anything about attorney-client.
You will not, because it was not, and you know that, and you acted alone, and you are causing this district
Thank you, your time is
great
up.
concerns. It's very unfortunate, and I'm very sorry for what's happening to you, Dr. Kozak. It's not right.
Good evening. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. I thank Michelle Arminio for requesting that we follow the policies and give a public a more chance to talk. So thank you very much. Want to make it very clear, please, to all and request to the BOE members, as we move forward, search or decision on acting superintendent and deliberation process for superintendent evaluation need to be open to public and transparent. That is our request. Public needs to be given an opportunity to ask questions. No more closed meetings. We are very disappointed. President and the BOE members, we are disappointed. Okay, many of the BOE members are my friends also. I'm not pointing out anyone. I talk about as a group. When Dr. Kozak provided resignation in 2017, we in public were surprised and requested transparency from BOE and leadership. A petition to renew Dr. Kozak's contract was signed by more than 570 people. Again, additional 100 people signed it. Several community members, young and seniors, have come to public forum for the last 6 months, have provided full support to Dr. Kozak during public forum of BOE meeting. The videotapes of the BOE meetings are the evidence. BOE president has ignored all requests from the public. I'm very disappointed, and we are very disappointed. I was surprised in December how the meeting was conducted before Christmas. It was the first time the members walked away, BOE members walked away, and they were blamed. We thought over it outside the door, what happened. Usually, closed meetings are held at the end of the meeting, end of the agenda. Agenda is over, closed door meetings are held. In December, the closed door meeting was held before the agenda was discussed. And when the Dr. Kozak's contract was discussed, many of the BOE members walked away. And then we came back, and they came back, and it was all blame. Oh, the members walked away. They don't have concerns about the agenda. So it is all the blame game and all politics. Please stop it. I want to see the BOE to be united. A leadership which brings the BOE united, not leadership which breaks the leadership. In March meeting, we were told, request was done by our gentleman here that Dr. Kozak's contract, please, let us look at it again for 2 years. So it was discussed. So when we came in April, we asked what happened. They said, Dr. Kozak's contract ends in June. That was the answer. So again, we come back in May and ask. So it's the first time we were told that on March 22nd, a non-negotiable letter was given. So why you all are keeping the public in dark? Why it was not stated in April meeting? So we are very, very much disappointed. So with all this, we request Dr. Kozak is a good gentleman, so he should be given a chance again, okay? And want to make sure that the transparency, moving forward, we request you all are going to discuss today or in future how we are going to do search, what we are going to look at, the acting superintendent, let us be transparent. There are clauses. And I told you all in December that if you all play politics, I'll be the worst guy here. I'm going to be the worst guy chasing you all, okay? Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, everyone. This is Shekhar Kakarla. Thank you for giving the opportunity. It is very unfortunate that we haven't got the meeting invitation for the public. We came to know in the last minute. Still, we could make so many people here. And I'm representing on behalf of a lot of my friends who could not come today because of their work hours and the last minute. And coming to the, I think that board is, yes, there are bylaws, there are a lot of things which can have a justification, but board is ultimately working for us. So people voice, right? So if you don't listen to our people's voice, and you just go by attorney, you go by some bylaws, or you get whatever reasoning. So I'm not saying that your reasoning is not right, but you should also give us an opportunity as a public, listen to us. I'll tell you, past 3 years back, we all, around 600 to 700 families moved to this town with the hope that we are going to have a best education for our kids. But after coming here, my brief interaction with Mr. Kozak, he is a wonderful gentleman, and he is willing to work with community. He want to collaborate with us. He want to listen. I'm not saying there is no best thing anywhere it is possible, but he's willing to work. That's number one. Number two, if you look at the school ratings, right, in the county, we have jumped to second place after the North Edison School District, beating the South Brunswick and the East Brunswick, which are the great schools. So we have to seriously consider this. I'm not saying that he's the 100% good, 100% he's doing, but he's doing his best. So let us give us the opportunity so that he can present himself. And there are 600 or 700 people, my friends already mentioned, that they have signed. And there are many more people who can give this written saying that he is working to his best. And the other point is, if you keep on changing the superintendents, it is very difficult, correct, to again come back and adjust themselves and moving forward. And at the same time, we have so many people coming into the district, and if they see that this is happening in the board, that is a negative point to the public to come into this town. So I really appreciate that even though you have all the bylaws, whatever, bylaws are made by us, right? It can always be changed. But you have to listen to the public voice, which is most important. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying that you listen to me, but at least 51% majority, whichever comes, you have to listen to that. Hope I made my points. I really appreciate, and we also worked with him for various community programs like Teachers Appreciation Event. There are 200 people, 200 families came out, and he worked with us for that. And he's keeping us everything transparent to communicate. So I really appreciate all his work, and I definitely want him to continue in this position for next 2 years so that we don't have confusion in the people. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Could you please give your name and address?
Yeah,
Because
Shekhar Kakarla, number 2 Monticello Avenue, Monroe, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll get it after we'll talk to him after. He can spell it.
Ms. Brewster, 29 Spruce Meadows Drive. Can you explain the difference between acting and interim? Because it's confusing, a little bit confusing, because we've always had an interim, and I notice now you're posting acting, and we're not sure if that just means the same thing, or there's some nuances between the two references.
It means the same thing. An acting superintendent usually comes from inside the district. An interim superintendent is usually a retired superintendent who comes in and is here for the interim until a new one is appointed. So it's basically a person who comes in here between superintendents. Acting is in district, interim is out of district. Dennis was interim. Apparently, this is a different terminology that has been used, which we received recently from the county superintendent. Anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public forum. Be it resolved, we'll go to closed session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of Monroe hereby moves to go into closed session in accordance with Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws, 1975 NJSA 10:4-6 through 10:4-21 to discuss the following subjects: acting superintendent search, deliberation process, the superintendent evaluation. Following closed session, action may be taken. The discussion conducted in closed session may be discussed. The discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Need a motion and a second?
So moved. Oh, second.
Mr. Mayo and Mr. Chiarella, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Me.
You're opposing?
I oppose, yes.
And
into that closed
Mr. Braverman is opposing. Okay, the motion is passed, and at this time, we will move
I
into
recuse.
closed
Yeah, you
session.
didn't ask Mr. Russo.
didn't
He
ask
needs
me.
to recuse.
You didn't ask me. I recuse, I can't.
Oh, I-
You knew that.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
it
I
should
just
be-
figured you were, since I didn't hear yes or the no. So at this time, we will move into closed session.
How long is closed session?
Probably a couple hours. At this time, the board will move back into public session, and since there is no resolutions, I need a motion to adjourn. Mrs. Lang? Second by Ms. DeMayo. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, at this time, the meeting is adjourned.